here with Canary Quilts, and I want to introduce you to the Let's Go Puddling quilt pattern. Annie's craft store has this, and they were nice enough to send it to me to show you how quick and easy this quilt is to put together. I did it over this last weekend, and it really didn't take much time at all. The boot took me maybe 10 to 15 minutes to put together. So I have the link to the pattern down below in my description. It really does help the channel out for you to check those links out. I have the link to my fabrics also, which you may recognize if you're watch my unboxing. These are fat quarters from the Annie's Fat Quarter Club that I'm a part of, and the background is from the Fat Quarter Shop low volume subscription that I'm in. So I got to utilize all these fabrics that I pretty much just opened in this beautiful quilt pattern that didn't take me very long. Especially this bird. I was so excited to get this bird and be able to fussy cut this out into something that looks really super cute. So I'm going to walk you through my cuts, how I organize all my cuts. It would actually go quicker if you used one solid background piece of fabric, but I had 16 different fabrics, so it did take a little bit longer for me, but if you had one background, it wouldn't take any time at all. And I did my border in my fat quarters. And if you just have one border color, that would go much faster also. So I'm going to show you my cuts, how I laid them out so that I could just grab off the top of my cuts and I would have everything I need for a block. And I'm also going to show you how the pattern has us put it together. And then after I did a few blocks, I kind of modified the flow of the pattern. I didn't change anything other than the flow to show you how I did it even a little faster. So I'm going to show you maybe two ways of putting this together. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell. You can stick around with me, watch my unboxings, watch all the other fun stuff I've got, and see when this quilt is actually finished when I get it quilted, because I like to show my projects later when they're actually done so people can actually see them from start to finish. So let's get started putting this beautiful Let's Go Puddling quilt together. All right, here's Annie's Quilting Let's Go Puddling pattern. I've been looking at this for a while. I thought it was really, really cute. And Annie's reached out to me and asked me if I could do this for them, and I was like, yes, I will do this for you because this is a really cute quilt. So I'm just going to kind of walk through. This is a quick and easy pattern. There's 16 of our boots here, which I've done one just to show you kind of what the size of it is. It's really not very big. The quilt itself is a 36 by 44 inch quilt, so it's not very big. This is going to be a lot of fun to do because I'm also part of Annie's Fat Quarter Club, and I've only been a part of it for 3 months, but I have got these gorgeous fabrics, and I've been afraid to cut into them. I wanted the right project, so when they asked me to do this, I was like, this is perfect. Perfect. Because it says that they kind of want you to use different fabrics for a scrappier type quilt, and that's what this will give me. It's going to be really pretty. Like this fabric right here has this bird in it, and I'm like, that's a great way to showcase those birds. So these are the fabrics I'm using. I'll have these linked down below, what fabric fat quarter bundles these are, because there's 2 fat quarter bundles in here. And then for the background, I'm using my Fat Quarter Shop low volume. If you watch my box openings, I am part of their low volume club, and there's 16 fat quarters that come in their low volume club, which is perfect because there's 16 boots. So I'm thinking each boot may have a different background, and then for the border, I might just make that scrappy out of these. And then for this outer border, I'll see what's left of my fabrics and try to figure out something from there. But I just want to show you how quick and easy this quilt is to put together. This took me no time at all. The only thing I'm going to be doing, they have you cut, and they say to use 10-inch squares, so it's probably very layer cake friendly. They have you cut everything at once, but since I'm going real scrappy with different backgrounds, I'm going to kind of be cutting one block at one time and kind of putting my colors together like that. So I'll show you how that goes for me, but otherwise you could, if you're using one background, you can just start cutting away and get all those cuts done for the background, and then just have to pick out your boot colors. The boot colors, there's really only 2. There's the boot itself, and then the handle and the sole are the same fabric. So not too hard to put together. Like you can see here, I have pink here. So those are the fabrics I'm using in my Let's Go Puddling quilt. So I want to now, I'm going to start cutting, and then I'll come back and show you what it takes to put a block together, what the pieces look like, and how many there are for each boot block. Okay, got all my cuts done. I have all my backgrounds over here, all my boot, handle, and sole colors over here. So instead of laying them all out, I'm just going to kind of go through colors and then backgrounds and show you what these pieces look like. And they really aren't in ABC order. This is actually A, and we've got a whole bunch of A's over here too, so I don't have my A on there. But it's pretty easy to figure out where that goes. So our G is this big piece right here. And I fussy cut some more birds. I had a green one and this peachy colored one, and then I also had these flowers that I ended up fussy cutting. So I've got those purple flowers with the blue. I've got like a blue and maybe a peony there, and then a peony. That's what I'm calling it. I'm calling it a peony. So that one I fussy cut, but other than that I really didn't fussy cut anything. So these are my boot colors right here. And I have these all in order as I cut them. So you're going to see two birds here. You'll see two birds here, which is right here. That's the bottom of the boot. Our H is the bottom of the boot. So my colors are all in the same order. And then this tiny little piece is right there. That's what gives us the curve to the boot. So that's our boot colors. These are the handles and the sole. So our I goes down here. That's the big piece. The B, which is the next biggest piece, is up here. J is right here, the sole, and then C's, we have two of these, two of everything in here, and that's these side pieces right here. So you can see how these are go into our boot. So this is all our boot colors right here. And the same with these, like this peach color is going to go with this bird, and then the next one's a purple, and that's going to go with that bird, and so on. So I can just start pulling off the top of my piles, and I'll have the block that I need. All right, let me get my backgrounds ready for you also. All right, here's my background cuts. It looks like a lot, but it really isn't, because this A is what all of these little pieces are. There's 6 for each block, so I made each fabric, I gave each fabric its own clip here. So our F piece, which is right here, is the big piece right there. Our D piece is right here. E, which we have 2 cuts of all our background, is on the side here. And then our K is the sashing. Not all of these 4 right here will not have sashing, but I wanted to show you what it looks like with the sashing. So these 12 boots right here will have a sashing piece. So I did cut sashing. And then our A's, there's 6 of them, are going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Our A's are what gives us our curves to everything here. So that's all our pieces. So what I did was I went through, I had 16 of those low volume fabrics, and I picked out one fabric and I cut all these pieces from the one fabric. And then I went to the next fabric, cut all the pieces in that fabric. So same thing here. My fabrics will be the same as I flip them through. So I'll be able to just take from the top, and I'll have all the background fabrics I need for each block. So there you go. That's what the cuts look like. This took me a little longer because I had all fat quarters. If you're using all one color and you do width of fabric, you can have this cut in no time. So that's why it took me just a little bit longer, and I did some fussy cutting from my fabrics over here. So It really wasn't that long. It just took me a little longer just for that reason only. All right, so let's get to making a block because it goes even faster. All right, there's all my pieces. You saw how I cut them out and how each layer of all these pieces are a block. So I can just grab the top piece from all of these and that will make my entire block. So to get started, we're going to start building our handle up here. And we need piece B. So I'm just going to grab the top piece on B. Usually don't have all my pieces like this, but I just want to demonstrate how this is going to work. Top B, or I need the top of my B piece. I need to take 2 A's. And remember, I have all my A's over here. I just need to pick the right fabric. But I need 2 of my A's, and I need to mark those on the diagonal. And all of them will have to be marked on the diagonal, so you can either do them all at once or as we go. I'm just going to do it as we go. And we need to make these corners. So what we want to do is chop off, and that's what I call it. We're going to put the line going from the top to the bottom left. So we're chopping off this top corner right here. And the same on this side. We want to chop off the right corner. So what we want to do is sew on the line, and then we're going to come back and we're going to trim 1/4 inch from that seam, and we're going to iron towards the corner. So I'm going to get that done, and we can come on and we can come back and start finishing our handle. Here's my seams. I sewed right on that line. Now I'm going to just trim 1/4 inch from that line, and then iron my corners. Iron towards my corners. All right, so there's the top of our handle. Now we want to take our D piece, and you can see that top of my D is the same fabric I've been using. So I'm just pulling from the top of all these pieces. And 2 C's, which I cut 2 of all of these colors. You can see how that's working. I can just pull right off the top. Ooh, there's a lot in there. And it's gonna match. So my 2 C's are going to go on both. I've ironed towards my C pieces, and you can see our handle is starting to take shape. So now we need to grab 2 E pieces, and again I have the same fabric on top, so it makes it real easy to keep these all together but still have the fabrics I need for my block. And this one I needed to cut 2 of, so there's a lot in there too. So we're going to put this together, and we're going to iron towards the bottom of the handle, and then we're going to add these on, our E's, and then we're going to iron towards the side. And then our handle unit right here will be done. Very quick. And there's our handle. So I put this piece on first, no seams to match, iron towards that, then put these 2 on, iron towards those. So there's our handle. Next thing we want to do is we want to do this piece right here. So we're going to take our F. Again, I can just peel off that top piece, and then an A from our colors. And we need to mark our A on the back with a diagonal. And you'll only have one of these small squares of the color in our A. So there's my diagonal. And see right there, we want to make the curve on our boot. So we're going to just chop off that bottom right corner. So put your line so it chops that off. Sew on the line, trim 1/4 inch from it, and iron towards the corner. Just that simple. There's our little corner, stitched on, trimmed, and iron towards the corner. So now we can start putting together this part of the boot. So we need our G, top piece, and it's going to go just like this. So first thing we want to do is put our handle on, and we're going to iron towards the big boot piece, the G piece right here. So I'm going to do that first, and we'll come back and put the other side on. Look at that, it's starting to look like a little boot. Isn't it fun when it starts coming together and looking like what you want it to look like? So we're just going to flip that over and put these on, this big piece on. And we are going to sew this on and iron. We're going to iron towards the boot. There's this piece put on, and we iron towards the boot. And sometimes you iron towards, You iron certain ways to nest seams or to flatten your block, but like in this case, we're ironing towards the boot here and here because those seams kind of pop up higher than the background, which makes the boot kind of like pop up out of the block too. So that's another reason we iron seams towards certain directions. All right, so we need to start working on the bottom of the boot. So the next thing we want to do is grab our H. I'm just going to set this up here. Here's our H, and we need another one of our background A's, and we need to just chop off the top part of this boot to make it just curve right there. So mark your A. We're going to put this in the top corner, so we're chopping off that corner. Sew on the line, trim 1/4 inch, iron towards the, let's iron towards the boot so that it all stands out like I was talking about here. All right, here's the bottom part of our boot with the top corner chopped off. So now we need to work on the sole of our boot, and we're going to need our I piece. Grab that top piece, and you can see it matches all my other colors. And we're going to need our J piece. And then we're going to need the rest of our A's because we're building this part right here. So we need to mark the back of our A pieces. I have 2 of them marked. Just need to mark that 3rd one. And we need to chop off the bottom left and the bottom right of our J or our I piece, the bigger part of the sole. Just like this. So that when we sew, we're going to sew on the line, but then we're going to chop off this part of the corner, and we are going to iron, we can iron towards the corner here. And then on this one, on our J piece, we're going to chop off that bottom left side. And then they're just going to go together like that before we attach them to that piece. So, sew on the line, trim 1/4 inch, iron towards the corner. There's my sole pieces. I've ironed towards the corner. So you can see them start to come together, and now we just want to put these 2 together right here, match those seams up. And it doesn't say how to iron, so let's iron that open since we have a lot of seams right there. All right, there's my seam. I ironed it open. And by matching the seams here, we get a nice little point. But by ironing it open, it really kind of flattens that seam out and makes it disappear. So that looks really good. Now, we're just going to add this to the bottom of our sole, opposite side of where we put that corner on. And we're just going to sew this on, and we will iron towards the boot, because that's what we've been doing. We've been ironing towards the boot pieces. Oh, it's coming together. It's so exciting. There's the bottom of our boot. I added the sole, ironed towards the boot, and now we can put these 2 together just like this. No seams to match. And then we are going to be ironing towards, we'll iron towards the bottom of the boot. So that's pretty much all there is to this little comfort Let's Go Puddling boot block. All right, there's our little boot block. I did not put the sashing on this one because we'll put the sashings on at the end, because these are going to have sashings and these won't. And I wanted to show you what it looks like with a sashing. You just add this piece here, and that's it. So I'm gonna get all my rest of my boots done, and like I said, I'm all set up to be able to grab from the top of all of these to make one boot. And you see it didn't take very long. It was really fun to put together, just to see this come together. And it's a really comforting block just to like sit down and do, and you're building this cute little boot and you're doing easy shapes and you can feel good in the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish all my blocks. I'm going to figure out my layout, and then we're going to put the sashings on and finish it out. All right, I've completed 13 blocks so far, and I just wanted to let you know that I kind of changed the order in which I do things since I've been making so many of them. And what I've been doing is marking my A pieces right off the bat, and then taking the bigger pieces that they go to, and I'm sewing those on all at one time. So then I've got all those pieces ready to go. So I'm going to do that right now, and then I'll show you what I do next. Okay, here's my pieces sewed on, ironed. So since I have the sole of my boot and my boot bottom ready to go, I'm going to just put these together and then add it to my boot bottom. So that will be done. My boot bottom is finished just that fast. Now I'm going to take this piece, which I did in the beginning here, and make my handle, and then we'll build out the block from there. So I think the flow is a little better here with all these little pieces that you have to mark and iron or sew and iron on. I just did them all at once. So I just wanted to share that with you, that it seems for me to go a little bit quicker and easier with that type of flow. Just that easy, and turns out so cute. So I've got 3 more to do and we will be laying this little beauty out. All right, I got my blocks done. They turned out super cute. I think I was down to around 10 minutes a block towards the end. It went pretty fast. But yeah, I'm really happy with these. Next up, I've got my sashings right here that match my backgrounds. And I am going to lay this out on my design board, figure out what colors I want where, and then I can put my sashings up, get my sashings onto the blocks that need the sashings, and figure out what I want to do for my rows in between and my borders. So I'm going to get that done. You can see what that looks like. Alright, I've got all my sashings on that match my background on all 12 of the pieces. These 12 right here need this sashing on the right side. So what I did was I took a picture of my layout. So I have all my blocks now sitting in front of me. I can just use the picture to start assembling my rows. So then I'll have 4 rows of 4 boots, and then I can start putting the sashing in the middle of all my rows and all on the borders all the way around. So I'm going to get my rows assembled, and this is how I'm doing it. Alright, here's my first sashing put on in between my rows, and I just wanted to show you what that looks like real quick. Since I'm using fat quarters, I just sewed together a bunch of basically width of fat quarters, and then I'm going to be using those for in between. So all I have to do now, since there's no seams to match, is just flip this over, and this is my 4th row, this is my 3rd row. Pin this up and sew it on. Alright, that's what the Let's Go Puddling looks like. And there's my finished quilt. And let me tell you, this did not take long to put together. It probably took about as long to pick out my fabrics as it did to put it together. I used fat quarters for my boots and my border. And then I used my low volume fat quarters for all my background, which I showed you in the beginning. So I showed you how to put the boots together, and that was really easy. I got down to about 10 minutes per boot, and then I showed you how I kind of did a different flow for the boot to make it go a little bit faster. So it really didn't take much time at all. Then I put the sashing on. I cut per the pattern. I cut per the pattern for my border. Well, I shouldn't say that. So for my border here, I used fat quarters, so I had to cut 2 strips and sew them together. And I did these 2 borders in the same fabric, and then these 2 borders in the same fabric. So then I hung it up, and what I did was I measured this short border, and it was exactly divisible by 4. So I made these 4 bricks, and I made the exact same 4 bricks down here. I'm not sure how much you can see. And then I just flipped them. So this watercolor is in this corner, this watercolor is in this corner. So then I hung it back up, and I measured this length. And that was exactly divisible by 4. So I did 4 bricks here also. And I flipped them so that there's kind of a flow. The purple meets the purple down here, the watercolor meets the peach. Purple, purple, watercolor, peach. So that's how I did my border. So I wanted to introduce this pattern. I wanted to show you how quick it was, how easy it was, how fun it was. And sometimes you just need fun. If you're really either on quilt projects working on something hard, you just need to come back and do something that's comforting and easy. Or even in life, if you're doing something hard, you can walk in here and you can kick out one of these blocks, and it feels good to do it in just a few minutes. So I also showed you how to organize everything, so I hope that helped. So in case you have to walk away from all your blocks, it's all organized so that you can just start right back up and do another block. Anyway, this is a pattern that Annie sent me. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Annie's. I wanted to introduce it to you. I wanted to show you how cute it was. And you can grab the pattern. It's in my description down below. And if you use my link, it really does help the channel out. And I really do appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell, and you'll see when I get this quilted. I like to show when I get these done. If you stick around, I'll show all my quilts when I get them done so you can see what they look like in the end. But anyway, I had so much fun making this quilt, and I had so much fun making this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!